Beneath a quiet street in the town of Paola, Malta, there is a place carved straight down into the rock, and a story that won't quite die. Its name is the Hypogeum of Hal Saflieni. It's real, and it's astonishing. More than 5,000 years old, older than the pyramids, a temple and burial place cut by hand 3 levels deep into solid limestone. Chambers shaped like the inside of a skull, walls painted with red ochre spirals that still curl across the stone. And down in the dark, the bones of an estimated 7,000 people. That much is history. You can buy a ticket and walk down there today. It's the rest of the story people can't agree on. And it begins with the things that were said to live at the very bottom. Because according to the legend, deep below the lowest carved chamber, past a dark chasm most visitors never see, there were giants. Tall figures, far taller than a man, covered head to foot in coarse hair, said to walk single file along a stone ledge on the far side of a bottomless drop, deep beneath the island, in the cold and the candlelight. For thousands of years, the story goes, something was down there in the dark under Malta. And in the 1930s, one woman said she saw them. Her name was Lois Jessup. On a hot afternoon in the mid-30s, she talked a guide named Joe into letting her crawl through one of the low burial niches near the floor of the deepest level, the kind you have to kneel to enter. He said she could go, but at her own risk. She crawled through with a single candle, and she came out on a narrow ledge over a deep black chasm, and across the gap, on the far ledge, the tall, hair-covered figures were already there. Then came the moment that has kept this story alive for almost a century. The giants noticed her. They stopped. They turned all together to face her across the dark. And every one of them slowly raised its arms, palms open, hands beckoning, reaching out toward her across the chasm, as if to draw her in. At that instant, a violent wind came roaring through the cavern and snuffed out her candle, and in the pitch black, something wet and slippery brushed past her. She scrambled back through the niche, dragging her friends out behind her, and when she reached the surface, the guide gave her a strange, knowing look. And then, about a week later, the disappearance. Jessup said she got a phone call. A school teacher had taken a party of around 30 children down into those same tunnels. They'd roped themselves together and tied the rope to the entrance so they could feel their way back out. And as the last child rounded a corner deep underground, the rope pulled tight, then went slack. When they hauled it back up, the end was cut clean. The children, the teacher, and the way down were simply gone. The mothers, the story goes, swore they heard crying from beneath the ground for weeks afterward. When Jessup returned to the Hypogeum, the tunnel was boarded up, and the guide on duty insisted no one named Joe had ever worked there. So, is any of it true? Confirmed. The Hypogeum is real, ancient, 3 levels deep, full of burial chambers and bones. And on the lower level, a flight of worn stone steps really does descend and then stop, hanging in mid-air over a drop into darkness, stairs that lead to nothing. That part is no legend. You can stand there and look at them. Unconfirmed, and probably untrue, almost everything else. The people who run the site have searched for the lost children and found no record, no newspaper story, no missing persons reports, no sign of any collapse. The chasm Jessup described, they say, isn't there. And Jessup later became an officer in a flying saucer society, which has led plenty of people to file her giants right beside little green men. A flickering candle, a flooded, echoing cave full of the dead, and a steep drop in the dark probably did the rest. But the story won't die, because Malta really is honeycombed with passages no one has fully mapped. Those stairs really do climb to nothing. And the islanders, as more than one researcher has grumbled, stay very tight-lipped about what lies beneath them. So maybe there were never any giants. Maybe there were never any lost children. Or maybe there's a reason those steps stop in mid-air, and a reason that little door near the floor got boarded up. What's really at the bottom of Hal Saflieni? The island isn't saying.